Hello, welcome to Thor Talk, the show all about Marvel's resident god of thunder. On this episode of Thor Talk, we go back to the Viking Age, as Thor learns what it means to be a god and falls in love with a mortal woman. But it is Loki who has brought the two together in an effort to get Thor to leave Earth forever. Will Loki's plan to get Thor to abandon his beloved Midgard work? Probably not, but we can still see what happens on Thor Talk.
I am Thor the Thunderer, son of Odin, prince of Asgard, and this world is under my protection.
Thor number 7 was written by Jason Aaron and was published in November of 2018. The story begins in Asgard, as Odin prepares to execute dark elf assassins. The elves defy Odin with their last breaths, as Odin obliterates them with the Odin Force. Odin tells Thor that is how an Allfather metes out justice, but he looks to see that Thor is nowhere to be found, for he is on Midgard, where the mortal men raise their horns to Thor. Thor tells his worshippers how much he appreciates them, when Odin's ravens fly in, as Odin would have words with his son. The ravens drop Thor at the feet of the Allfather, who is most displeased, as he has told Thor to stay away from Midgard many times. Odin tells him that he has gone too far. He is the god of the storm, not the mud. He must not neglect his duties on Asgard for Midgard. Thor responds that if he wants gods who will blindly follow him, then he should go back to Asgard and leave him here in the mud. Thor flies away on Tooth Gnasher, leaving Odin alone to lament his son's impudent behavior. But Odin is not quite alone, as Loki slithers out from behind a tree. "My poor lost brother must be made to see the error of his ways, and I can do that. If you but give me free rein, I promise you, my liege, I can make it so Thor never wishes to see Midgard again." Odin hardly trusts Loki, but he is willing to give him a chance. "Gods help me. And how would you do that?" "With the strongest force in the cosmos. Love. Love. And a bit of wind." Thor is blown off of his goat into the snow, where he stands before what he considers to be absolute beauty, Erika the Red. Thor typically prefers to stay out of Viking rival disputes, but in this case he seems unusually motivated to help. Erika says that she does not need the help of a god to slay her enemies. She can fight her battles on her own, for herself, and that makes Thor love her even more. Loki then sends a rock troll, and Erika signals her men to fall back, but Thor leaps towards the troll, cutting it down with one strike. Erika is impressed by how quickly he dispatched a troll, and at last, Thor has won her heart, as the two share a passionate kiss. Thor would show Erika the world, and as he did, he was able to see the world through her eyes. She showed him that being immortal did not matter unless you could appreciate each and every day. She never treated him like a god, but instead like a man. However, Odin is quite angry at Loki, for his plan is not working, and Thor is spending more time on Midgard than ever. But Loki tells him that the plan is not yet finished. Next comes one little war. The Dark Elves went to war with the Dwarves, and Thor went to fight in the war, promising Erika that he would return as soon as he finished fighting. And he did. He returns to find that the village has changed, and goes in search for Erika. An old woman greets him, and tells him that she is not there, and takes him to her grave. She tells him that Erika waited for him every day, and Thor demands to know who killed her, so that he can kill them in turn. But the old woman tells him that no one killed her. She lived a long, full life. I don't understand. I was only gone 40 years, the woman tells him. Erika left Thor with a final message. Show me. Loki laughs as his plan is complete, and he prepares to claim Mjolnir, the reward that he agreed upon with Odin. But he will not get the hammer this day, as Odin is angered to find that Thor is still on Midgard. And Thor tells us why. I never thought of turning my back on the realm I loved. That would be the same as letting her go. Letting her die in vain. And that, I will never do. Cherish every moment, and every mortal soul you touch along the way. Cherish them all the more because they are fleeting, and you are not. That is the legacy of Erika the Red. The woman who taught Thor what it meant to be a god. What it meant to be worthy. Before we begin, a moment of silence for Thor co-creator Stan Lee. So, in the end, I'm not actually sure what I think about this issue. On its own, I thought it was adequate, but if this is the entire reason that Thor becomes worthy, then I'm not a fan of it. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby came up with how Thor became worthy all those years ago, and no one has touched it. So if you're going to go back and completely change it, then it better be really, really good. Now, while it says that Erika taught Thor to be worthy, we don't actually see him pick up the hammer yet, so it's up in the air as to whether or not this is how he became worthy. Now, Aaron has made it so that Odin was physically abusive to Thor, which of course is a far cry from the All-Father Stan Lee wrote. I also don't like all the sidestepping to avoid the modern story, as it's been months since we've seen the modern Thor in action. At the very least, those last few months have been spent providing much better art than we've seen in the series so far. I think that this issue's art in particular is the best since the series began. You know, by comparison. Well, that's all for this episode of Thor Talk. If you want to keep up with and support Thor Talk, simply subscribe. Once again, I'd like to formally state that all art and video is owned by its respective companies, and I own none of it. With that said, see you next time on Thor Talk, where
You'll be holding